I think I first realized that I was mixed in about the first grade. I also think that's around the first time I was aware of what the concept of race was itself. I just remember my dad coming to pick me up from school one day and all these kids looking at me so strange. And I was like, what's going on? Like, why is everybody looking at me like this? Come to find out, people were trying to figure out who this black man was picking up this, little, what looked to be white boy. Yeah, I just couldn't realize why people were so confused with the fact that this was my dad. As I've gotten older, I definitely say it's been challenging trying to figure out where I fit in society. I feel like our country based so many things around this concept of race, and I'm just caught in this gray area. I've never really been able to, fit into one category because I'm not just one race. Like really, as mixed race individuals, where exactly is our place in society?
Why should I feel discouraged? And why do the shadows come? God, sometimes I forget who I am. Flashback, born and raised in West Los Angeles, in a neighborhood that was 75% African American. I was told that my blood was a mixture of Chinese and Spanish that made Filipino from an island that was in Asia, but told I was not Asian. Babysat by Hispanic women who spoke Spanish to the children, that included me. Now go ahead and tell me about your identity crisis going on.
I wanted to ask this question to everyone. How many of you have argued with others regarding your identity or your identities?
Sometimes it's, I don't know how to identify. Sometimes I've heard the term hapa.
Yeah.
Sometimes I use the term mixed or whatever, but it's, it's up to the individual and, it shouldn't be guessed. Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, definitely, I had to prove I was either one or the other. Like with white people or white kids, like they see my skin color and then it definitely not necessarily be as open. Black kids as well. I mean, they're pretty friendly, but I always had to prove that I was black. I didn't have my black card until we played sports or something.
Growing up, it's just weird because you are what you look to other people. So I look Asian, so I'm Asian. If you're light skinned, you're black. If you're this or that, you are what you look. So you kind of get put in a box, and sometimes I don't know if that's right or wrong. So being a kid, you almost feel like you are one thing than something else because people perceive you as that.
When I was 13, I was on a cruise ship with my family on vacation, and then it just hit me wow, I think I'm too white for Asian people and too Asian for white people. Where do I fit?
To be honest, whenever I mention that I'm mixed, I find myself having to repeatedly repeat myself, what I am. People aren't listening to me. They read me as a lot of times as, I'm read as Russian, and which I think is really weird because there's over 200 ethnicities in Russia.
I think it just speaks to the complexity that we have to deal with what we look like. A lot of people are so superficial and just want to believe what they believe. And no matter what you look like or what you really come from or what your roots are, they're just going to see you as what they want to see you as,
You obviously face different challenges just because people perceive you a different way. And necessarily you wouldn't face these challenges if you were a certain race.
Sometimes when I'm in an Asian American Studies class, I feel how I'm read is makes me feel awkward because I'm read as I'm not read as Asian. I'm read as this white, sort of white looking person that looks like they're from Russia, and so I feel if I'm active in the class that my voice doesn't belong because a lot of times they want white people in these classes to not speak because it's not their place. So a lot of times I feel my voice, it's not my place to talk in these classes, even though I identify as mixed Asian.
And no matter how, if I desperately feel it, sometimes it's kind of going ups and downs of emotional roller coaster, how I feel with my pride of my identities and how they intersect, and how I feel proud to be Irish, proud to be black, and wanting to have that sense of acceptance. But then every time I go to find that sense of acceptance, I'm otherized in both sides,
Regardless of if people think because you're maybe not fully identifying with one thing. I mean, who are you to say what experiences someone has or doesn't have? And who's to say just because you may have not personally experienced that you don't have any opinion or information on it, you know? Like,
as like the mixed community grows, it's statistically like we are one of the fastest growing communities in the United States, and a lot of people may not identify as mixed because they might identify more with one side, but just as the acknowledgement grows, I think the community will grow.
Like, I used to be desperately trying to find that acceptance, and now I'm just kind of like trying to just accept who I am and you know, be proud that I'm mixed and I can kind of see both sides of whatever you see.
I feel like honestly I just try to be myself as much as I can. And that's pretty much all that people should try to do, is just be themselves. Don't try to conform to one race or what, you know, people tell you to be. Just do you.
yeah, nah, nobody has any influence on my identity at this point besides myself. I think you feel like you have to prove it when you're younger, but in reality, as you get older, you become more comfortable with yourself, and you don't have to prove anything to anyone. You know what I mean? I think the only thing you have to prove is to yourself, and that's the change that I think that if you're multiracial, that's kind of a type of change that you have to deal with or go through, and everybody does on their own terms. Everybody has to do that, but it just pertains to race, I guess, when you're multiracial.